Ever since lock in Brazil, you may have noticed that groups have been split up into an alpha side and an omega one. This is due to Valorant's story of two mirrored Earths. I think it's pretty cool that the devs decided to include Valorant's lore into its competitive side. So today we'll go over everything about Omega Earth, how different it is from Alpha Earth, and a theory about how the championship trophy fits into all of this. It may give us insight into a horrible end for one of these planets. Timestamps in the description box below if you want to skip around. But first, I have to admit, I always assumed that agents looked 100% the same. Something that even Clove points out.
You know what? If one of those lookalikes came over here and pretended to be one of you, I'm not sure I'd be able to tell the difference.
Well, according to this dev message left on Discord, it seems that the agents themselves aren't 100% clones of each other. There might be slight differences in eye color, scars, and voices. We haven't seen much difference among Valorant agents in the cinematics yet, but that could change in the future. And while we're on the topic of Valorant agents, let's talk about some of the differences among their organization. One is that on Alpha Earth, they're called the Valorant Protocol, while on Omega Earth, they're called the Valorant Legion. Pearl gives us a lot of insight into how the public sees the Valorant Legion. Just a reminder that Pearl is located on Omega Earth, more specifically Lisbon, Portugal, where they're basically celebrated as heroes. Part of this is because they actually saved many lives. In episode 5 Act 2 Battle Pass, there's a series called Guardian Heroes. These cards give us insight as to why there's so many statues built to honor them. We see Sage and Jet using their abilities to block incoming water that could easily swallow up people, while we see Omen using his teleporting abilities to rescue individuals who were swept up in the flood. Then we have Phoenix. I guess he's hitting a mean pose. More realistically, I suppose he's guiding people to safety or signaling for someone to come pick up the survivors. These rising waters were caused due to multiple climate dangers going on their planet. We'll get more into that later, but because of these high sea levels, life support / geodomes were built by Kingdom to keep the residents safe. And if you look out, you'll see others in the distance. This kind of makes me think, how much of the world is currently underwater? These things are made out of a radiant polymer, which explains why they're so desperate for this mysterious substance. So much so that they're willing to go to other Earths and steal it. And if you go to a shop that's ironically called High Tide, we see a comic book store basically celebrating the Valorant Legion as superheroes, with plushies, graphic novels, and other things people can buy. This shop shows a stark difference between the two. The Valorant Protocol, which is located on Alpha Earth and are supposed to be considered a covert organization, something hidden in the shadows. Well, at least they're supposed to be, anyways. They have a history of living behind a huge mess that's kind of hard to ignore.
You know, we're a covert organisation. Shouldn't we be wearing masks? Cypher's got the right idea.
During the Revelation cinematic trailer, we see Omega agents actually out and about eating together in public, especially Jet. On Alpha Earth, Jet is wanted for the crimes her Omega counterpart committed on Venice, while her counterpart is treated as a hero on her Earth. This has led Jet to go undercover multiple times despite her reluctancies.
Oh, Brim, I have no issue with being the cover-up chef for the surveillance truck, but Cypher is driving me crazy. That guy thinks every interaction is an opportunity for a life lesson. Look, I know for a fact you can flip a mean burger. With a little training, I think you could cover me for a couple days. Please. Brim, Breach is on me about laying low again. I can't do this anymore. I don't care how many times Cypher needs to scrub my face off the web. I'm going out like everyone else. I know for a fact he can make it happen if you fund it. Look, I get why Omen and KO can't leave. I feel bad, I do. But they're unique cases. I'm young. I should be out there living my life. I just want to eat inside of a restaurant or enjoy a morning run without a stupid disguise. Why should I act like a criminal in hiding when I did nothing wrong? Seoul, Italy, none of that was my fault. If that little from Omega had just left me alone, if she gets to go out in her world, I'm going out in mine.
So if you ever see certain agents like Jet, Omen, and KO out and about in public without a disguise, chances are you are watching Omega agents at work or play. Another interesting difference is that the recruitment order of these agents are different. Again, in the Revelations trailer, we see that Sage's locker is next to 9, which means her locker is number 10. Also, next to locker number 9 is 7. This means that both the Valorant Protocol and Legion is missing in Agent 8. While Agent 8 locker is completely skipped in Omega Earth, their locker is just scratched out on Alpha. This may give us some insight to the idea that maybe they both left the organizations on different terms. But first, I would deeply appreciate it if you considered liking and subscribing to this channel, as well as be a member in the future. I have these subscriber milestone goals. At 1K, we'll do a Q&A plus a deep dive video on one specific agent that you guys vote on. At 5,000 subscribers, I'll do a live stream power scaling video with the community, and then put out a separate video based on what you guys vote on, as well as my own opinions too. At 10,000 subscribers, I'll do a full-on video detailing everything that I can find in Valorant's lore, which will most likely be over 2 hours. Thank you for your time, please consider subscribing, and let's get back on track with this topic. Another big difference is that the Valorant Legion has access to Lotus on their Earth, while the Valorant Protocol does not on Alpha. This is due to the Scions of Hourglass getting to Alpha's version. Lotus lets us know that Radianite is typically seen as green, since that's the color that we see here. The orange crates that we see on Omega Earth is probably due to how Kingdom refines their Radianite. I also want to mention that it seems Omega Earth is more advanced in technology too, as well as more open to the public about dimension hopping. I say this because on Pearl, we see a museum that citizens are free to walk in. It details their history of Radianite and jumping from different Earths. Plus, the Valorant Protocol was unaware of how to travel from one dimension to another until Alpha Earth's chamber helped them. The only reason why Alpha Earth chamber knew how to do this is because his Omega counterpart helped them. Of course, this wasn't the first time they worked together either. On Fracture, both Omega and Alpha kingdoms were working together on a Radiant Collider. Just as a heads up, Fracture takes place on Alpha Earth in New Mexico. It's an American state that has different types of biomes, but I doubt there's a place that has such an abrupt line detailing the differences like here. Regardless, the facilities tells us the mindset of both Earths. One where the goal is to preserve and have a more upbeat attitude, while on the other side things seem more desperate and urgent. Mainly because we know Omega Earth is facing a climate crisis, one that Radianite is needed to help cope with. This collider could have solved many problems, but unfortunately Chamber and his double destroyed it, leaving behind ruins. Again, this facility takes place on Alpha Earth, but I believe its stark contrast of biomes was done on purpose to symbolize the states of the two Earths, one of full luscious materials and resources, and the other bleak and barren. This kind of leads me to the Champion's Trophy. We see an artifact resembling one in the Reckoning cinematic. It's a bit different though, since the whole structure is rocky with little to no differences on each side. However, there are two distinctive sides on the championship one. This got me thinking though, what if the Champion's Trophy is supposed to be telling us a story of these two Earths? There's a box in the middle that's supposed to be holding Radianite and connecting both parts. However, one side is solid gold, possibly representing an abundance of resources, while the other side has a charred effect, showing a lack of riches. Rotate it 90 degrees and it tells a similar story as the symbolism that Fracture shows us too. With Radianite at its core, what if there's only a finite amount of it between these two Earths, and during the first light event, that balance was tipped drastically in favor of one planet. It's also interesting that the trophy is shaped like an hourglass too. Maybe this is a cycle that happens quite often, where one planet will have more than the other, almost as if it's draining the other side of its resources. A time and imbalance that the Scions want to keep happening. Of course, this is all a theory, but it is interesting that the Scions are still around. It was stated that one of their goals was to keep the discovery of Radianite hidden, that Alpha Earth was not ready for it.
Who better to safeguard our secrets? To keep the discovery of Radianite from a world that wasn't ready.
But that goal is all but gone since Kingdom has made it mainstream. So why do they still work and exist? What is their purpose now that Radianite is known to the public? Well, remember that mantra that we saw in Abyss? Scions there shall be, tending the turn of the hourglass, to safeguard truths forbidden and confine all to the abyss, for the hourglass turns. There's a lot of ways to interpret this, like this part, tending the turn of the hourglass. For the sake of this theory, let's say this part lets us know that some type of process or event is supposed to happen, and the Scions are needed to tend or watch over it. Basically, the word hourglass may be a code name for such an event. What is really scary is this phrase, confine all to the abyss, which could mean throwing all information that they've gathered into their grotto base, or something more sinister. Instead of information, maybe this phrase means everything on the planet will be thrown into darkness. Remember Fade's vision?
Brimstone, the nightmare came to me with a vision. Different from the rest, I saw the walls holding our world together fall apart. I felt the wind go still. I could smell the bitterness of blood and bile. I heard small, uncertain voices crying out, and I could taste the fear. There was so much of it, like the whole planet had fever. So I climbed. I climbed this tall cliff. It was jagged as bone, stretching up, dizzying. But with broken fingers, I reached the top and saw the end of our time. A silent window, stretching over the ocean, filled with dead faces. And then I woke up. Brimstone, I have seen many things in my line of work, but we must not let this come to pass.
Maybe this future event is what the Scions are waiting to happen and are planning to see it through. Again, it's just a theory. At this point though, I really want to know what their purpose is now, since the world knows of Radianite, and when would have been a good time to let Alpha Earth know of its existence? Surely they're hiding more than what is known so far. There's a few more differences between Alpha Earth and Omega Earth. One is that of the Kingdom companies. On Alpha, they go by Kingdom Corporations, and on Omega, they go by Kingdom Industries. Both their logos are different and how society views them as well. On Alpha, there's a lot of disdain towards them since they have a bad habit of going into places with no regards to those living there, changing their culture and historical aspects of their home. Something that we see in Bind, which is based in Cypher's stomping grounds of Morocco.
What has Kingdom done to this town? However pretty their lies are, they're just sucking my city dry.
The lies we've told this city. Just to pry it open and suck it dry.
And Tokyo, where Yoru shares similar feelings.
This neighborhood used to be so much better without this kingdom shit.
On the other hand, you don't see many posters hating Kingdom Industries on Omega Earth, mainly because they are responsible for keeping these geodomes up and saving thousands and possibly millions of lives. Also, Realm is only found on Alpha, while Outlist is only on Omega. Both these are third-party actors that affect Valorant's story. Atlas can be seen as policemen to interdimensional travel, which kind of leads me to speculate maybe Omega Earth is quite accustomed to interdimensional traveling. They capture anyone that goes against their rules, which is what happened to Oren McNiff and Ruben Puentes, researchers working on Fracture. And we've seen multiple times that Atlas has worked with the Valorant Legion, but both parties do not completely trust each other. The other organization is Realm. They work to recover ancient items that were stolen from thieves or for black market trade. They are seen as noble individuals since they return these items back to their countries of origins. There have been some rogue individuals within Realm trying to keep the prize for themselves though. And I'm not gonna lie, Realm sounds a lot like the Scions of Hourglass, but with a morally right compass. Regardless, this is all the differences that I can find between Alpha and Omega Earth. Let me know down below if I miss anything or if you have your own theories to share. Till next time, stay safe and I'll be yapping in the next one.